Hey guys, I'm back with another video. If you want to see how I got this neutral fall look, then keep watching. So first I went in with my primer. This is the Maybelline 100 primer, and I always use primer because it just helps your makeup last longer. To me, it sets well, it primes your skin. So now y'all see me talking because I thought this was gonna be a talk through video, but I got like halfway through and I was like, no, I can't talk through this. So personally, I do foundation and concealer first, and I went in with my NARS Maco foundation, and as you see, I realized that the foundation is a little bright. I guess this is like my winter color because it just wasn't matching to me. In this video, I make so many faces and I don't even realize it until I'm watching the video and I'm like, what the hell? But this color was not matching for me like at all. So I went in with a darker foundation because I like to go dark with my foundation. Because I go bright with my concealer, I like a bright under eye, and you'll see what I'm saying once we get to the concealer part. So this is looking much better to me. Like, it's matching my skin tone. It's a bit darker than my skin, which I like because that concealer is going to brighten me up a lot. Well, not a lot, but just enough to where it blends. When you see me blending, you'll notice that I blend down to my neck. I don't like when my neck don't match my face, so I try to make sure everything goes together. By the way, if I miss any of the products, they will all be listed in the description box below. So make sure you guys read the description box if you have any questions or if I don't say a product. So I'm going in with my concealer, and this is Tarte Shape Tape in the color Tan Deep Sand. And I highlight under my eyes, the bridge of my nose, and my chin, forehead area, and over my lip. I pretty much use this to brighten up the spots of my face that I want to pop. So the trick to getting a snatched nose is shaping your nose with your concealer and then smoothing it out. So here you can see more of what I'm talking about when I say making the shape of your nose with the concealer. I am focusing on how wide I want my nose to look, and that'll be my guide pretty much when I start blending. You never want to make harsh lines around the perimeters of your concealer. Like, you always want it to be soft so it'll be easy to blend. So here I'm just using that flat brush to smoothen and even out my concealer so that it won't be hard to blend and the product don't just sit and dry in one area. So for contour, I use a e.l.f. concealer that is about 2 shades darker than my skin tone. And I put it on my cheekbones, on the sides, the bridge of my nose, and I kind of like dot it on my forehead. And then I just blend. So like I said before, I like my concealer to be very defined. So I'm just adding a little bit more product for that defined look, and I go back in with my Real Techniques brush and I blend out the edges. So when blending out your contour, you want to blend up and not down. Your contour needs to blend into your concealer so it looks seamless and it still gives that snatched cheek look. So this is me doing my TikTok in the middle of doing my makeup. So my face is round, and I think I learned this technique on YouTube. I'm not sure who I learned it from, but it helps a lot to snatch the bottom of my cheek. I put concealer under the contour and I blend it out using my damp beauty blender. This is an angle brush from the James Charles collection, and I'm using this brush to blend out the sides of my nose. I'm not sure what the number of the brush is, but like I said before, all of my brushes and face products, any product that I use, will be in the description box below. So you'll see I'm going back in with concealer just to get that shape that I want. I'm kind of particular about how I want my nose to be shaped, so I just use concealer to make sure that shape is defined. So after letting that concealer sit on my face for a little while, I go in with a damp beauty blender and I start to blend everything out. You want to blend the cheekbones first and then everything else, but under your eyes will be the very last thing that you blend out. So while blending, I make sure there are no harsh lines. Like you saw, I went with my beauty blender where my contour and my concealer meets. But I'm also using my concealer and snatching my nose just a little bit more. I wanted it to be snatched, so I define it with concealer on the edges of the contour. When blending out, I constantly go back and forth between my contour brush and the beauty blender just so that everything blends well together and there's no more of one thing than the other, if that makes sense. So I just constantly go back and forth. Same goes for this angled brush. I constantly go back in with the angled brush to smoothen out the contour around my nose so that it's not a harsh lines. Now that concealer has dried down a little bit, I go back in with a slightly brighter color to brighten up under my eye. Like I said, I like under my eyes to pop, so I make it pop with like a brighter concealer, but it's not that much brighter. With concealer, you're constantly blending. Like, you'll never stop blending until it looks even. Everything must look even and seamless. Now this is me going in with the brush I use to put on foundation, and I'm just making everything come completely together so that it looks like a face and it doesn't look like multiple different parts put together. So I just use that foundation brush to do that, and again going back in with that angle brush to make sure that my nose looks natural but still snatched. I don't usually do this, but I wanted to try something different this time, so I used a Real Techniques brush and I went in with my loose Sacha Buttercup setting powder mixed with Laura Mercier translucent powder. I usually use a beauty blender to put on these powders, but I think I see on Instagram all the time makeup artists use the brush, so I said today I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna use the brush, and I actually like the outcome. But you'll see I end up going in with a beauty blender as well, because that's just my go-to regular thing. Make sure you press your powder in first. Do not sit your powder on top of your concealer and bake first, because that's how you get flashback. You have to press your powder in and then, if needed, go in and bake. But I usually bake when I'm doing eyeshadow. So you can see I'm lightly putting powder where I put that concealer to define my cheekbone contour, well, highlight. And I'm just doing this so that my face looks more snatched. And the powder pretty much is going everywhere that I put my concealer. So on the bridge of my nose, my forehead, my chin, under my eyes, my cheekbones. It's to set the concealer. So here I'm going in with some powder contour from my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour palette, and I'll put the name of it in the description box. But I'm pretty much setting my contour with that bronzing shade. It's not really a dark shade. So I'm using this powder to bring color back to my face, and it pretty much does what the beauty blender does between my concealer and my contour. It makes everything look seamless and no harsh lines. So I'm using that brush to buff out any harsh lines or anything that doesn't look naturally put together. So here I'm just brushing my brows and getting them together so that I can fill them in. And I'm going to fill them in using the Morphe Chocolate Mousse Eyebrow Pencil. And this is like my go-to pencil to use for my brows. So I learned this trick from Lash Glams, and I'm pretty much using my eyelash glue to lay my eyebrow hairs down. Now when filling in my eyebrows, I always start by shaping the perimeter of my brows just to get the ideal shape of how I want my brow to look, and then I'll go in and I'll fill it in. I'll make the ends dark, and at the beginning of my brow I would do like hair-like strokes. I don't make the beginning of my brow dark at all. Now I do want to say, naturally I have thick eyebrows, so my brows may look a little darker, but I try to stay with the natural darkness of my eyebrow. I don't want them to be any darker than they already are, and I just keep that going. Now eyebrows are twins and sisters and not twins, so they will not look exactly the same. My eyebrows are not even shaped the same, so for concealer, I always start in the middle of my brow, and I take my brush and I go towards the end of my brow, and the excess product I'll use for the beginning of my brow. I don't like harsh or concealer that's hard to blend out, so it's just easier for me to start in the middle, or where the arch of my brow, if you will. Now ideally for the top of your brow, you want to use a concealer that is closer to your skin tone. I just went ahead and used the same concealer and it worked out fine, but ideally you want to use something that's more closer to your skin tone so it's easier to blend out. like I said before, my eyebrows are not shaped the same, so I just go with the shape of my natural brow. I don't try to make them the same shape because that's just a lot of work, and it's not really necessary because it's not that different. But just go with the natural shape of your eyebrows and you'll be fine. And as you can see, I blend out my concealer after every time I use it. I don't let it sit and get thick on top of my eyes because it'll just make it look like cakey. So I make sure I blend it out after every time I put it on. And yes, I'm left-handed, if you can't tell. It look a little awkward, but I did it right. It came out the same. I'm having a little hard time, but we're gonna get it together. This look is so pretty. I love how it's coming out, and it looks so like natural, and yeah, just keep watching. So you will see I constantly go back with my angle brush and I blend out like my nose contour and make it blend into my eyebrows, just so that it looks seamless and it looks natural, like it looks like a natural contour and not like I just put two lines down the side of my nose. So you'll see me going back down the sides of my nose, and that's just to bring that contour up a little bit and make it look more snatched, like a smaller contour or slimmer contour. Personally, I love blush, and this isn't even a blush palette, but it's like the perfect blush shade for me. This is a Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette, and I'll put the exact name of the palette down below. But I pretty much take that fluffy brush and I buff out the blush on my cheeks. This is a little trick to get your face to look dewy, to get everything to kind of set in together. You just spray some, I use rose water, so you just spray some rose water on your face and it'll kind of get everything to start melting together. Now with this brush, I'm going in with the MAC Studio Fix powder, and this is a Real Techniques brush, and I'm just brushing away all of the loose setting powder that I use to set my concealer. Now if anything looks too bright, like I'm doing here, I go back in with my foundation brush and I go over those areas. I couldn't find my eyeliner pencil, so I used an angle brush and some black eyeshadow, and I went and filled in my waterline. Now I'm using my Maybelline Colossal mascara, and I'm just going over my lashes to define my bottom lashes. Sometimes if I feel like my makeup is getting a little too moist under my eyes or it's not all the way set, I'll go back in with some more of the Sacha Buttercup loose powder just to set it a little bit more, and then I'll immediately take it off with the MAC Studio Fix pressed powder. No, y'all can tell I have on minks. My minks weren't full enough for me. Well, they were actually starting to come off, so I needed to get a fill. So I just went in and I put some strip lashes over them. That's what I'm doing here. I'm using that duo lash glue, putting it on my lash line, and I'm gonna add some strip lashes from my lash collection. Said before, these lashes are from my lash collection that's coming soon. Follow me on Instagram at all4 Ju. That's all for Ju and Ju on the beat. Both of my Instagrams will be in the description box. You'll be able to see the lashes that I'm coming out with, and I'm in love with these lashes. I don't know why, but I always add a little mole and it just looks so cute to me. So yeah. So I'm going in with this brown shadow from the same Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette that I use for my blush, and I'm just getting a little color on my eye. It's not going to be very dramatic because originally I wasn't going to do any eyeshadow at all, so I just thought about doing eyeshadow right in the middle of doing my makeup. So there you go. Also with eyeshadow, make sure you always tap. Do not swipe, tap. I always spray rose water just so that I can get that dewy look and everything doesn't look chalky or like powder. It just brings the face together on top of the foundation brush to set it. Here I'm using one of my favorite lip liners. It's the MAC Chestnut lip liner, and I'm just using this to carve out the shape of my lips so that my lips will look shaped once I start putting my lip gloss on. So here I'm going in with concealer, and this is the Loreal concealer, and I'll put the description, well, the full name of the concealer in the description box. And I'm just going in with concealer and my brush, and I'm blending that in with my lip liner. So a trick I found to nude lips was using concealer, because I could never find a nude lip that would fit my skin color. And then I go in with the NYX Madelline Matte Lip. Then I go back in with my lip pencil just to give it that gradient look so that my lips don't look harsh. Gloss is like my favorite part because it's towards the end, but I'm just going in with a hair store lip gloss, and I'm just glossing my lips. So this is the final look, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe learned something. If you repeat this look or try this look, please tag me on Instagram at Ju on the beat or at all4 and Ju. Both of my Instagrams will be in the description box, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.